Hey, good evening, everybody. How you doing? It is Thursday night. We are just a couple hours away from the debut of Falcon and Winter Soldier, and let me just grab this real quick. The debut. Yeah, I want to post this up on Twitter to get a few people going here. So I'm starting it just a little early. Let's get some stuff going on there. Okay. So we are live to talk about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Now, this is an amazing day if you're a comic book person, because we started off by getting the Zack Snyder's Justice League. If you want to know my thoughts on that, I posted that earlier today. You can find that on my YouTube page. If you're not following me on YouTube right now, that's YouTube/Dan Wickline1. It should also be on my Twitch page, which is Dan Wickline. So go to either one of those and hit the subscribe and like buttons when you're there, and they'll let you know when new stuff comes up. But I was a big fan of the new Justice League. I think it was a really good story. But we're not going to get too much into that tonight. Did that earlier. We are going to talk about Falcon and Winter Soldier, get you guys ready for tonight's or tomorrow morning's premiere, depending on how you look at it. For me, it's tonight because it drops at midnight, and I still think of midnight as tonight, and I will stay up to watch it. Well, I know a lot of people will get up early tomorrow morning before they go to work and watch it then. Now, we're going to do our usual Pop Go the Writers on Sunday night. I will be joined by Captain America writer Paul Story, and former Marvel writer Jim Beard will be joining me for the debut, or to cover the first episode of Falcon Winter Soldier. And then the following week, I will be joined by Paul again, and then Tom and Terry Hodges will be joining us to talk about Captain America, or Falcon and Winter Soldier. So come by for that. Right now, they had the video premiere for Falcon and Winter Soldier today. It took place at an Air Force base. They had a bunch of soldiers there, or airmen, I believe is the proper term. And they had a little video presentation with the actors Anthony Mackie, Sebastian Stan, Emily Van Camp, Daniel Bruhl, and Wyatt Russell were all there, as well as Kevin Feige and a couple other producers. And they talked for a bit. And then they had guest appearances by Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen popped up, said a few nice words for it. Jeremy Renner and Haley Stansfield, I believe it's her name, from Hawkeye, wished them well. And also Tom Hiddleston and Owen Wilson from Loki showed up, and they debuted the new Loki poster. So you can find that online. It's a nice looking poster. The interesting thing about that is I kept expecting Tom Hiddleston to break into an Owen Wilson voice, because he does that imitation very well. And I was a little disappointed he didn't. I thought that would have been a lot of fun to hear him doing his Owen Wilson voice next to Owen Wilson. That could have been fun. Okay, it is 7 o'clock on the dot, so let's get this thing started. We are first going to talk about the characters for the upcoming series. Now, there's supposedly a lot of guests, or a lot of people are going to pop up, and that could be a lot of different people. It could be General Thunderbolt Ross. We know that there's supposed to be James Rhodes is supposed to pop up, played by Don Cheadle. Of course, Thunderbolt Ross is played by William Hurt. So there's always that possibility we're going to get other cameos like that, people who make sense at the time that they appear. But the actual people who are scheduled to be in the show, who are listed, of course, are Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson, the Falcon. You have Sebastian Stan, who plays James Buchanan Bucky Barnes, also known as the Winter Soldier. You have Emily Van Camp playing Sharon Carter, or Agent 13. You have Daniel Bruhl, who plays, I don't know if he's Baron at this point, but Helmut Zemo. I believe he was a captain in the Sokovian Army, Sokovian Special Forces. And you've got, of course, Wyatt Russell playing John Walker, Now, we're not sure if he's going to have the name Captain America, if he'll take his comic book names of Patriot or U.S. Agent, or if he'll even get his other comic book alias of Jack Daniels. Yeah, they really did give him the name Jack Daniels. But then, of course, Johnny Walker's another type of Scotch, so no idea there. But these are the two main guys, Falcon and Winter Soldier. Now, for those of you who are coming in late or don't know the actual history for these characters, or just don't remember because it's been a long time, I'm going to give you a quick rundown of each character. Let's start over here with Winter Soldier. James Buchanan Barnes was the best friend of Steve Rogers growing up. And he went off to serve in the war while Steve volunteered for Dr. Erskine's super soldier experiment because Steve was basically 4F, and as much as he wanted to go, he couldn't, but Bucky could. Now, Bucky's troop over there, I think it was the 107th, got captured by Hydra and was being held when Steve got word of it after the experiment. He was doing a USO show. He broke away from the group and went behind enemy lines to rescue Bucky and the rest of the 107th and all the guys that became the Howling Commandos. And it was basically Cap's first mission was to rescue Bucky. But while he was there, he got experimented on by Dr. Arnim Zola. Now, Zola gave him kind of a version of the super soldier serum. I don't think it's quite as good as Cap's, but, and also he lost his arm. They were doing a train heist, basically, to capture Zola. And when they did, Bucky plunged to his apparent death, but survived, lost his arm, and ended up with the Russians, and they turned him into basically the perfect assassin. And they brainwashed him into conditioning, and they wipe his mind between assignments, and they freeze him. They drop him into cryosleep, and he sleeps away until they need him again. Then they activate him and they send him off. So he became their perfect assassin. Just kept him on ice when they didn't need him, and put him out there. Well, one of his assignments, of course, was to kill Howard and Maria Stark, Tony Stark's parents, and this would become a huge thing later on. His last case as the Winter Soldier, last assignment, was working for Alexander Pierce, who was the head of S.H.I.E.L.D., or was high up in S.H.I.E.L.D., but also the head of Hydra at that point. And he used Bucky to go after Nick Fury at first, and then Captain America, Falcon, and Black Widow. And while fighting, Cap was able to break through Bucky's conditioning and jar him enough that he questioned things, he went rogue, and eventually he came around to, his side. But the problem is that Helmut Zemo comes across this book that can trigger him. He knows the trigger words. He also tries to frame Bucky for the UN bombing that killed T'Challa's father. Now, those are basic movies. He ends up being cleared. Well, Cap proves it's Zemo, and it did it, and Zemo gets arrested, but it causes a rift between Cap and Iron Man. It causes the whole Civil War, and we'll get into that when Zemo comes up in a minute. But basically now, he got blipped with everybody, with a bunch of other people, about half the world, and when he returned to fight with Cap and everybody against Thanos. And now his best friend is old and retired / dead. The shield was passed on to somebody else, and he's trying to figure out what his new life is, what he's doing. He's dealing with his guilt and his past. I mean, he's killed a lot of people, and that sticks to you. So he's got a lot to work out. We see him in therapy in some of the trailers. So it'll be interesting to see what his path is, his character growth path is in this story. Sam, on the other hand, was a pararescue guy. He used these wings to fly into areas that were too hot for helicopters, and he would zoom in and save people. And he had a wingman named Riley who gets killed. and he ends up retiring. And then Sam works for the VA, helping veterans to readjust to civilian life. While out running one morning, this guy just keeps speeding by him, going, "On your left, on your left." And after being lapped by about 20 times, he realizes this has got to be Steve Rogers, Captain America. The two of them strike up a conversation, and they're friendly, and he invites him to come down to the VA. Cap takes him up on the offer at one point, and they have a conversation, and they start becoming friends. Well, when everything goes to hell with S.H.I.E.L.D. and Cap and Natasha go on the run, they have nowhere else to go. They go to Sam. And Sam not only takes him in without a second thought, he basically volunteers to get his old exoskeleton, or his wingsuit, and back up Cap. And he does. He goes up against S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra with Cap, and he's at his side the rest of the time. When Cap needs someone to try to track down Bucky, Falcon's out there doing it. When he has to go help Bucky, Falcon comes along. When the Civil War happens, he's on Cap's side. He also ends up being burned and hunted for not signing the Sokovia Accords, ends up in prison on the raft until Steve busts him out. And then he was on the run with Steve for years until Thanos showed up. He got blipped. And now he's back and trying to put his life back together, after 5 years. He's got family down in Louisiana. We're going to explore that. But what he's going to do now, and of course, Old Man Cap showed up and handed him the shield going, "This is yours now. You're Captain America." That's kind of a big deal, especially since I don't think the U.S. government is going to want him to have the shield. Well, the fact he didn't sign the Sokovia Accords, that's just, right there. They're not going to want him to have the shield. So that's going to be an issue. It's obviously going to be an issue. Now, Helmut Zemo is returning. Now, Zemo was a captain of Sokovian Special Forces. When Ultron and the Avengers started battling over his city, he tried to take his family to safety by going out to his father's house on the outskirts of town, but it didn't work. And when they got caught up in the fight, his wife and his son, got killed, leaving him nothing. And at that point, he vowed that there shouldn't be superpowered people in the world, and he went after them. And he's not superpowered. His plan was more subtle. He wanted to come up with a way, because if you destroy something, it can be rebuilt. But if you have it destroy itself, that can never be rebuilt. So his whole plan was to get the Avengers to tear themselves apart. And he did it by discovering the secrets about Bucky, Winter Soldier, and how he had killed Stark's parents. And he used that and manipulated them into fighting and causing the whole thing. He blew up the UN to cause the Sokovia Accords. He blamed Bucky for it, and he pitted Cap versus Iron Man, and of all the villains in the MCU, his plan worked. When Thanos came, the Avengers were divided and did not put up a resistance that it could have had they been standing together. So Zemo's kind of like the badass, if you think about it. Now, we don't know what's happened to him since then. He, after succeeding in getting Cap and Iron Man to fight, he tried to kill himself, but T'Challa stopped him and gave him to the UN to go into jail. And we don't know where he went since then. Did he get blipped away? Did he stay that whole time in jail? We'll have to wait until midnight tonight or 3 a.m. to find out. Now, another person returning is Sharon Carter. Now, this isn't actually from the show. This is from Civil War, but it's hard to find a good still shot of her from the trailers. Now, she is the niece. She's Agent 13. She's the niece of S.H.I.E.L.D. founder Peggy Carter, and she was assigned by Nick Fury to watch over Steve Rogers when he was at home. When Cap revealed Hydra's infiltration of S.H.I.E.L.D., she stood with him. She went up against the Hydra agents just at the word of Captain America, And when Cap and them were on the run because of the Sokovia Accords and because of Bucky, she went and retrieved their gear, snuck it out of the SHIELD headquarters and stuck it out of the UN headquarters and brought it to them. Well, that put her, a mark on her head, basically, and she's been on the run. Like with Zemo, we don't know what happened to her. We don't know if she got blipped or if she's been around all these years on the run. We'll find out tonight, but she's supposed to play a big part of the series. And the only other for sure person returning is Batroc the Leaper, played by Georges St. Pierre, a mixed martial artist. Now, Batroc was hired by Nick Fury, and Batroc and his mercenaries were hired by Nick Fury to take out the Lemurian Star, with the whole idea that Cap and the team would have to go in for a rescue, and this would give Natasha a chance to sneak in and back up the computer systems there, because he knew that something was going on that he wasn't being told about on this SHIELD ship. So it was all a setup, but Batroc is a mercenary. He's not a good guy. And Cap and Batroc fought one-on-one, and the interesting thing was that Cap even put his shield down and fought him straight. So that was actually one of the better fight scenes in the movie, too. That and the elevator. So it'd be nice to have Batroc back. I think we're going to get him back earlier than later. I think we may even get him back in the first episode. Now, those are the returning characters. What we know about the series is very little. We know that the government is trying to replace Steve Rogers with a different guy. That is likely John Walker, played by Wyatt Russell. And we know that Sam doesn't have the shield when this starts. From reviews I've seen, non-spoiler reviews, this is a little bit of a slow-paced beginning. There's an action scene to start with, but then it slows down, and there's a lot of setup in the first episode. So don't expect big reveals or anything in the first. Well, we might get one at the end of the first episode, is what I've been hearing. But otherwise than that, it's pretty just straightforward, a lot of setup. But it's the first episode of a 6-episode series. You got to set some stuff up. Now, I'm also told that Sam and Bucky don't actually meet up in the first episode, so that's going to be interesting too. We'll have to see what brings them back together. Now, I have a prediction. So if you watched WandaVision and got upset because of all the people making predictions, then you probably want to step away, because I'm going to make some predictions. What I'm not going to do is predict things that are clearly not in the realm of what Kevin Feige said he's doing. I am not going to tell you how mutants are going to pop up in here. Yes, they're going to Madripoor at some point. Yes, mutants are big in Madripoor. No, I don't think they're going to use this to introduce the X-Men. Also, I don't think this is going to introduce the Fantastic Four. I don't think that, Reed Richards is going to be sitting in the background at something, or Falcon's going to need a delivery and the Thing's going to show up. It's not that kind of predictions. I am looking at the comics that I think this area is based on and making my predictions on that and how they would fit into the MCU. Now, while Captain America passed his shield on to Falcon, the fact that he hadn't signed the Sokovia Accords means he was and may still be on the run. Now, Steve Rogers passes. Just because Steve Rogers passes doesn't mean that the government is going to go with that. So the government could force Sam to give up the shield and give him to another hero. And that's pretty much what I think is going to happen. Now, in the comics, there's a series of issues from Captain America 324 to 353, I think it is. It's an interesting run where John Walker is introduced as a character named the Patriot, Super Patriot. He has a brother who is a war hero, and John tried to follow him into military service, but never got the opportunity to be the type of hero that his brother was. And I think his father also died in the military. So John comes out of the service feeling somewhat disenchanted. He gets an opportunity in the comics. He gets an opportunity to go through a super soldier type serum or program that involves wrestlers and this guy called the Power Broker and a Dr. Carl Mullis, and they are creating these wrestlers. And when he goes through it, his agent decides to talk him into becoming a patriotic superhero instead of a wrestler, and to use rallies and stuff to build up his popularity. Now, we do see a rally in the thing. A lot of people talk about it's like a football halftime show. Well, if it is a football halftime show, it's a pretty small one because that's not a professional football stadium we're seeing. There's too much open air around the players. It might be a college level, it might be a high school level, but it's not a professional level. So I think it's probably a rally instead of a halftime show, but we'll see. Now, I think what's going to happen is that Walker is going to be given a super soldier serum by somebody like Thunderbolt Ross, and it's going to be based on a serum that somebody's working on, possibly somebody like Carl Mullis. And I think that whoever the person is making the serum is going to be selling part of it on the black market. Now, the reason I think that is this will tie into the story that Sam and Bucky are going to end up doing, which is figuring out the Flag Smashers. Now, the Flag Smasher in the comics is a single person named Carl Morgenthau. But in the TV show, it's supposed to be a group of people, and they're supposed to have enhanced strength. So my thought is that the person who's made John Walker's serum, and also if he does have a sidekick named Battlestar, Lamar Hoskins' ability as well, is selling the stuff on the black market, and it's going to the Flag Smashers, or maybe he's part of the Flag Smashers, I don't know. But I think that's going to be the story, is that you've got this group of anti-nationalists is a good way to put it. They're terrorists that don't think there should be any nations. And I think that's what's going to happen. That's going to be the main story of the Flag Smashers, is they're super strong and they're out there doing their thing. And Walker is going to have some issues with his super serum, and it's going to give him anger issues. He's going to get more and more violent and more out of control. So while Falcon and Winter Soldier are hunting down the Flag Smashers, trying to take them out, Walker is going to be building up to the point where they're going to have to take him down too, and eventually end up with Sam taking the shield. I think that going to Zemo is going to be, he's going to be somehow involved with the Flag Smashers. They've got kind of similar background or desires. So I could see Zemo being the guide to trying to find stuff in Madripoor. Sharon's going to end up, I don't know. I think Sharon's is going to be in on trying to take down the Flag Smashers as well. And that's how they cross paths with her. And that's where they're going to get a lot of their information. Walker will probably end up as U.S. agent by the end of this, where Sam will be Captain America. And I think Zemo will probably not turn bad at this point. He's probably going to play it close to the vest and be recruited by Thunderbolt Ross at the end as possibly part of the Thunderbolts. We know Don Cheadle's supposed to show up at some point. Not really sure how he's going to fit in. That's going to have to be figured out later on down the line. But that's what I think is going to be going on. I think Walker's going to get a super soldier serum that causes anger issues. He's going to become violent and over the top. I think that same serum is going to be what's powering the Flag Smashers. So they're going to need to take down the guy who's actually making the serum and selling it on the black market, stop the black market sale of it, and take down the new Captain America, in which case they're going to have to replace Cap. That's what I think is the big overall story arc of what's going to happen. At least that's my prediction. Do I expect to be right? Who knows? That's kind of following loosely what's going on in the comics. And this was the era that had John Walker become Super Patriot, then Captain America, then U.S. Agent, and Flag Smasher and Ultimatum were a big part of that. Now, I don't think we're going to have Ultimatum in this. I think Flag Smashers is just now the big name instead of a single person. I think they're gender bending Carl Morgenthau into Carly Morgenthau, which is Aaron Kellyman's character. And I think she's the head of the Flag Smashers. And I think that's, they're going to be a little more gray area bad guys than pure black and white. I think there's going to be a lot of gray area in this, where the main focus is getting the super soldier serum off the market, where people's motivations are going to be a lot more understandable on all sides. So that's my predictions for that. And that's where I think it's going to go. I think tonight's going to be a slower episode. I think we'll start off with some action and have a lot of build-up, a lot of set building. From what I hear, like I said, Falcon and Winter Soldier do not interact at all in the first one. So I expect the second one will be where they hook back up. I'm not sure when we're going to get Carter or Zemo, or maybe that's where Bucky's off going after Zemo. We'll have to see. But that's what's going on. I don't know how Sam's going to end up being stuck working for the government, but I think that's what's going to happen. So, all right, folks, do you guys have any questions or comments before I get going? I am going to stay up tonight and watch it, and we'll have my review of the first episode posted sometime tomorrow afternoon. Been looking forward to this one. I think this is going to be more straightforward MCU style action. I think it's going to be a lot like Winter Soldier, like a continuation of Winter Soldier, but where Winter Soldier was like a 70s spy thriller, like a Robert Redford movie. I think this one is going to be moved up a little bit, and it's going to be more of a buddy cop action adventure. Your Lethal Weapons, your Rush Hour, those kind of things. So I think that's the theme they're going to go with this. And I think it's going to all be about a super soldier serum and the side effects of it. So that's what I got. I am looking forward to this episode. Like I said, I'll be back tomorrow afternoon with a review of the first episode and breakdown. And then on Sunday, we'll do Pop Go the Writers. So please join me then. Hope you all have a good night. And if you're looking for my thoughts on Zack Snyder's Justice League, you can check my Twitch or YouTube accounts, my videos on both of those. And please hit the like and subscribe buttons when you get a chance. Thank you very much. Y'all have a great evening. Talk soon.